Speaker. There are 250,000 of us on this demonstration today. The politicians in Westminster, they might think that we'll get bored, that we'll get cold, that we'll stop coming, but we will never give up. We will never give in. We will never stop doing everything and anything that we can until Palestine is free. Now, our next speaker almost needs no introduction. He's a man who fights against injustice. He fights for liberation wherever and whenever he can. He's the People's Prime Minister. Please give it up for Mr. Jeremy Corbyn!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 250,000 of us here today in solidarity with the people of Palestine. There are demonstrations going on today in 120 cities around the world, in 45 different countries around the world. Millions of people on the streets, on the march, demonstrating their solidarity with the people of Palestine under siege right now. We've got to carry on. This is the 14th national demonstration, and there's going to be as many more as it takes until there is a ceasefire, until there is justice for the Palestinian people. It's also a day to remember these are the truth tellers, those journalists who tell us the reality of the bombardment of Gaza, those people that tell us the reality of the global arms trade and what its consequences are. And so, on Tuesday of this week, something very important is happening. Julian Assange's case goes back to the High Court. Please support Julian Assange for telling the truth about war, telling the truth about global corporations and about the reality of what wars do. As I am speaking, as I am here now, there are 1 million people in Rafah under siege, without enough water, without enough food, without enough medicines, without proper sanitation. The population of Rafah has gone up 7-fold in the last 2 months. They cannot cope with the demands of the people there. They're massed around the border, desperate to try and get somewhere to be safe. And they were told that going to Rafah would be safe. And Israel is now preparing to bombard Rafah, an already chronically overcrowded, chronically undersupplied city. The carnage that has already happened, with 30,000 dead, almost half of those are children, will get so much worse as soon as that bombardment starts. And so I ask 2 questions. This bombardment has gone on now since October. Already the people of Gaza were under siege. The consequences are horrific. The generation of orphans growing up in Gaza, having seen their families killed and destroyed by American supplied weapons flying over them. The mental health stress, even if there was a ceasefire tomorrow, will last for decades and decades for those poor people that have already suffered years of siege, and in the case of the West Bank, of occupation. We're witnessing something globally horrific in real time on our televisions. In real time on our televisions, the carnage goes on. And so on Wednesday, when the UK Parliament has a motion before it, tabled by the Scottish National Party, I am signing in support of that motion. I want every one of you here, demand of your MP, your elected representative, be there, vote for a ceasefire. No ifs, No buts, no qualifications, just call for a complete ceasefire and respect for the International Court of Justice decision. The International Court of Justice has made its views clear. The UN has made its votes clear. And in the words of Anthony Guterres, this issue didn't come from nowhere. Awful as the events of October the 7th were, it didn't start then. It started with the Nakba in 1948. Yes. It went on with the occupation. It's been on with endless wars ever since. Yes. What we're now seeing is a second Nakba, where if Israel gets its way, more than 1 million Palestinians will be forced out of Gaza into the Sinai to set up a new Gaza Strip, as once more the horror story of the lives of Palestinians goes on. Well, the message here from London today is we're having none of that. We're not going to allow our government to support that. We are here with the Palestinian people for peace, for freedom, for justice, and we ain't ever going away.